Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Journey. I am Reverend Bobby, and today I have with me my Morehouse brother, Clifton Mcknight. How you doing, Cliff?
Man, it makes my day to be in your way. How you doing?
Hey, man, listen, all is well. And before we get too far on the journey, let me just remind everyone to subscribe to the channel.
Okay.
Gospel of Robert. One word, GospelOfRobert. So you can get a little ding whenever we putting some really cool stuff up here for you. Amen. So, Clifton,
Yes.
give us a little snapshot on you and who you are and who's you come from, like that Miss Anna boy when they see you walking down the street.
Well, my good fellow, thank you for the intro there. I'm blessed to be uh, Dr. Mary Mcknight Taylor's son. My pops was Stephen. My mom just was an educator for decades, and she worked with people with special needs. And she passed that gene on to me. And so I've been spending a good part of my life being of service through education and counseling. And author of the book, If You Can't Calm the Waters, Learn to Ride the Waves, Dr. Rob. And I'll tell you what, it was an interesting gift to the world, but the gift actually came back to me. It was a write, and then it became a rewrite after my own near-death experience and all that. But
Oh, I didn't know you had one of them things.
it was one of them things that it's a joke. It's almost a joke because I used to shake my finger at people, say, why are y'all waiting till you have a near death before you wake up? And when it happened to me, it froze. I froze. I needed some time. And I'm like, now I go back to those people and I bow down and say, you know what? You didn't let it stop you. So did that, man, and for these decades, having had the privilege rewriting a book, it became a bestseller. It took some doing, and then I continued to do workshops and seminars, keynote speaking, that kind of thing. After my extended tenure at it was Montgomery College, Community College, and Coppin State University, and I was a consultant for the the company College Survival Incorporated, who helped first-year students. It helped teachers have strategies for teaching first-year students and student success. That's a mouthful.
Well, it's interesting because all of our lives track. Mommy and daddy were teachers here in Chicago Public Schools. I had to learn to read. My grandmama was a teacher. She did young kids before they went to um, kindergarten out in Gary, right? So I bring Eddie Whitlock into my grandmama house to meet her. She took one look at him and said, Eddie Whitlock. Me and Eddie looked at each other. She had Eddie in her class before his dad passed in Gary, and they moved the family to California. And
Wow.
sometimes we talk about these 6 degrees of separation, but Cliff, me and my boys be talking about it's really zero, isn't it? Because it's connected everywhere, bro.
It's amazing that you're having this thing with me. I just as recently as yesterday, I had that kind of epiphany of a conversation, man, because I played the game by myself using what I thought was the furthest possibility, and within two people, those possibilities were real. So yes, you said it.
The thing that gets me, man, is when you push it all the way out there, it's like that's more of a reality than the hold it closed stuff. Now, how can these things be, Cliff?
Well, we talk about, divine, man. When people talk about divinity, people talk about, well, is it God or is it science? And then, the bottom line, brother, is that all of it is God, man. And we can speak of it scientifically, we can speak of it spiritually, religiously. The essence, the fabric that we live in is one fabric.
Yeah.
The threads go left, right, up, down, all around like a seesaw. But the bottom line is we're all connected. We can connect from the day to day all the way back to the beginning. Everything that's led up today allows us to be here. Look, you get me started, but just think about this. Your parents, that's two people. They contributed to you being you. But their parents contributed to them being them. That's 2, 4, 6. And if you go back another generation, I got to take my shoes off to count how many people led to Robert Yarborough being here.
And I because of education, Father Quarles was my great grandfather. At Friendship Baptist Church. Gave Morehouse space in the basement till they got their stuff, and then Spellman, the little antebellum lady on all the stuff, is my great grandmother. But one of the things was, it was always education or a minister.
Yes.
In my family line, for that side of the family, it was slave side, that kind of stuff, and all that stuff too. But that's what it was, and it was so very important as the people who did the what they call it. But anyway, kept looking, watch over the people. How important was that in our? I call it our story. I was talking to Bruce Dobbs this morning. I said, that's our story, man.
You were talking about how important was the folk that we had folks who were willing to pour into us. Is that the kind of the spirit of it, man? I'll tell you what, it's everything. And that's why I guess you and I tend to want to pass the baton. We realize that not only wouldn't we be here, genetically, but we wouldn't be here without the gifts that others have brought and sacrifices that others have made. When Black Panther came out, man, I got into some substantive conversations with quite a few people, and they were interesting. And if you keep your mind open, we can learn from everybody. So I had, it was actually my grandniece who was talking about how much she liked the character that Michael B. Jordan played.
Jordan was playing,
warmonger or something. And she said because he didn't give up, he was this and that, and he he had this war mentality that we weren't going to lay back and all of that. And at the end, he said, "I would rather die than go to whatever it was, go to jail or whatever." And I thought about it, and I'm like, well, I'm glad that you can appreciate and see what you can get from him. But just bear this in mind, because she started thinking about all the people who were jumping off the ship rather than be, kind of forced into slavery. And I said, those that stayed, if they hadn't stayed, you and I wouldn't be here. Mm-hmm. So just bear in mind that there's been prices that people have been willing to pay so that we can have the privileges to be up here acting like we got it.
Well, one of the things when we were down for reunion that when I got a chance to just speak to the fellas for a minute was the dreams and the prayers that we had when we were there. But you can't stop there, because we was the answer, brother, to many prayers and many dreams the day we walked through that door. How at this point where you are, how does that make you feel as Cliff Mcknight walked through them doors, walked through them gates in 1970? The answer to prayers prayed.
Doesn't that give you, it's just the energy it provides, the inspiration and the humility that comes from realizing that folks were really, there's that joke about the pig and the hen talking about how important they are to breakfast. And say, yeah, you think that you're something. My eggs do this and do that, and I'm the most important. And she said, yeah, well, for you, it's all in a day's work. For me, it's a life commitment. but maybe not make it. So what we have to realize is that
that's a good one.
thank you. It just popped up that the idea that folks were really doing all they did, and we cannot even when we hear it, we don't have an appreciation for the price that was paid so that we can be here. I tell my grandniece every time we talk about, I'm glad that you enjoy reading, because there was a time it was against the law.
The law.
It was like punishable by death if a slave or learned to read. So now we're setting you free. Carter G. Woodson talks about, if you let people control your mind, they control your action. You got to wake up and take advantage of what's been prepared for you. So yeah, I feel it, man. I feel the sacrifice, and I am humbled.
Yeah, my grandmother, she always used to talk about they could take everything from you, but they can't take what's in your mind. And as you're a young person, sometimes you don't realize the power and the value of what they're saying. But man, all those things, even the things that were said to us in school coming up are, not have come true, because they were truisms that just spoken in a different way, but we see them, man. And one of the things I was talking to Stephanie, we're now the elders. I was telling Dobbs this morning, I said, I call it the keepers of the truth. It's this thing in Revelation. Talk about the keepers of the truth, to pass it down. And that's what we are. How does this new stage and state of your life fit with you, Brother Clifton?
Man, again, you talk about humbling. You talk about also that transition, because my mom was the elder and everyone else was, ancestor. And I'm saying, well, I'm going to be the glue, Mom, between what you can do. Let's make sure you teach. And then Mom, went on to glory, New Year's Eve 2023. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. We are the elders. And it just reminded me that, hold on. I'm a tad over, just over 60. Okay, or more. All right, over 70.
A bit.
But you get my point. It's like sometimes
that in itself is wacky.
I can't. It is. You go back. What? Seemed like just a few minutes ago, man. We were going to the yard down over there, going over to Spelman and just visiting the ladies, and I'm going to take a class over there.
That's all it was, just a minute, man. And my mother used to tell me about people that you wouldn't see in 30 years and stuff. I went to St. Edmund Military Academy, and man, there's some people. Oh,
really?
Yeah. I'm a St. Edmund boy that I hadn't seen in 30 years or so. But wait a minute, lately we've been laughing and giggling on the phone.
Wow.
And it's amazing how it comes full circle in our lives, and just so fulfilling. But after, and I want to touch on this just a little bit, after the life-threatening, so it seemed, situational stuff, when you came out of that, how much different was your attitude, view on life?
Once like I told you, it did take me a minute. But after that minute, it was again, it was just reinforcing. I was pleased that the things I thought I was doing without having the experience, I read books, listened to tapes, attended workshops and seminars. I was really delving into personal growth and development. Mm-hmm. But I tell you, after that, first of all, humbled and just reminded that this earth, this breathing that we do is a gift, man. And it's like, it can go at any moment, anytime. It's not a thing, you can, if you make it to getting grays in your eyebrows and in your head, you've done something. Life has been good to you. And so you have whatever time you have. My good buddy TJ would say, we got more, we put more time in than we have left, you know. And I'm like, yeah, well, see, we know it, but nobody knows that time. I mean, how many people do you know that are youth and younger that are no longer with us? So,
Man, I
my
was talking
friend,
to a
I'm
friend. I
humble.
was talking to a friend of man I become real close with, man. She was cool beans, man. We was texting one night. The next day I missed her. The next night I wake up because my sleep schedule is all around sometime. I'm looking through the thing. There she is, her picture. She had made her transition that quick, right? And you know, as I adjusted, just sitting there looking at the picture of her, I just said to her, okay, I know you was always about your freedom, but like Cheryl, this is a little bit too much for me. But it is these life things that we go through that give us the strength and the gumption. I was talking to you about this. Sometimes I don't see as much as I would like in people. What happened? I don't know. What
What,
happened? Tell
what
me.
happened? What did he say? Say that
What
again.
happened to the people? Why they don't have gumption and stuff no more to forge
Oh,
ahead and to accomplish and to, I'm talking about. I was telling a friend, man, they was laughing at me this morning, man, because of how I got information and stuff. Man, I used to be with the DVDs from my show. I would copy them, send out to people, all that kind of stuff. Just didn't have no $100 million, company or stuff to get it out, but it was good stuff and get it out. But I had gumption to hit it, and how come we don't see that so much no more?
I got you. I didn't know if it was a rhetorical question or not. I tell you what, man, it's a mind blower. But we just got to look in the right places, because we are faced front and center with the failures or the lukewarm and the what we might consider the image of the masses. But there's a lot going on. There are a lot of people doing a lot of things. And today, nature and the economy and the technology, all these things are showing us that there's outrageous potential and possibility. So we just have to make sure that we're making sure that the people hear it. If they don't hear it, that what did Biggie say? If you don't know now, you know. It's really right there. And don't fall for the hype. I heard Barack Obama say very recently, I don't know what it was when he said it, but the recording I saw yesterday was that he had, he almost bought the hype that, people, certain groups of people had so much with, they were bright, they were sharp, they were, they had all this, and we needed to be intimidated because they were so great and they carried themselves that way. But he said every front at every place, when he was, I think it was whether he was Princeton or Yale, I don't know, at school, when he went into government, he said, everywhere I went, I saw people who were fools, just like I saw people who were gifted and talented. So never fall for that okie doke.
He lived right down the street, man, 3 blocks, man. 8 years, man, there was helicopters over the crib, man. I mean, we could always tell where he was at home, man. You hear the helicopters up, man, and Secret Service would be there one time. Now, I didn't walk up on him. You don't walk up on him.
You don't do that. You don't do that.
Around the corner, he was getting some gas and stuff, so I was a little bit away from him. I said, I see y'all parked out there all the time. I said, do y'all get a chance to go pee? He started laughing. He said, yeah, we get a minute, man. We get a minute. He said, we change up, go get a sandwich, take a minute. I said, because y'all be out there, man. He said,
look at that.
We got to do that. But that was just a little thing about Barack. He was a smart dude, man. He was a dude. I walked into his campaign office one time. I was working for somebody else here, but we met briefly. But he was a pretty good dude. And from then I don't know. But what do you see for the upcoming years, especially in our life, and putting stuff out here, being the elders, loving to do it. I see good. What you see?
You have to. I mean, if that's what you want, you got to see what you want. You can't get sidelined and distracted by all the mess. You know how magicians work. They stick a finger out and they say, "There, keep looking at this, look at this," and boom, they hit you over.
Sleight of hand.
Yes, sir. Don't fall for the okie doke. Remember, you create from your spirit. You've been gifted. You are part of a divine fabric. You create what you want. So what I see is outstanding possibility. You know, I do see the pendulum. I see the pendulum. I'm not blind. Things hit the wall one way. That means it's got to come back the other way. But we need to bring it forward. We need to do our part. Now, I get carried away sometimes. I'm thinking, if I'm going to be honest, I remember a time where I got
You can be honest here. This is safe space.
Let me stay there, man. Y'all, hey, this is going to be a secret between you, me, and everybody else.
Amen.
It was a time where I did look around and I saw so much devastation, so much hurt, so much inhumanity demand that I felt like I wasn't doing enough, and I didn't feel like I had it in me to do what was necessary.
Time out. Is around here when the whatever come about?
Well, no, this was decades ago.
Okay.
We have these things, these periods of time. It was probably in the 80s. It was in the late 80s. And it was, I took a position in Midwest in South Dakota, learning, working with that company I was telling you about that worked with the teachers who teach students, first year students.
Well, you was out there by your lonely up and
man, I tell you what, I made it.
That was part of my territory one time, boy.
What? Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I
had 13 states straight down the middle from North Dakota to Louisiana one time. Go ahead.
From Chicago, you were at that time?
Yeah, when I was at IBM. Yeah, was those were mine. Yeah.
Wow. Well, the short story. I don't need to get carried away with it.
You don't have to be short. We got some time.
Okay. Well, I lived in Baltimore at the time, and this company came over and was talking, and they had some good material. They had good presentation, but they were all of one race. They were all white, and they were giving us strategies on how we're going to help our people who were from diverse backgrounds. And, I commented it to them. I said, y'all have good material. This is good stuff, but you're not going to reach everybody, and you're not going to be able to represent and understand how to reach everybody just coming from where you're coming. If y'all are looking for somebody who's committed and interested in this stuff, who works at it, give me a call. Mm-hmm. And they came and talked to me, and I'm like, I said, okay, well, what are we talking about? She said, well, we'd be interested in talking to you if you're willing to move to South Dakota. I said, what? Where? I said, well, it was a good idea. Thank you, but no, thank you. I'll consult with you, but I'm not, I can't do that. I got a family and all that. And went on about my business. A year later, things changed and our situation changed. I just had my second daughter. My wife had our second daughter, and she had trouble, with pregnancies and all of that. And I got to a point where she needed to stay home a bit. And the same people came back, and they came to do another workshop. And, we got in conversation. One of them pulled me aside. Hey, Cliff, I don't know if you have given any more thought, but we're still interested in, looking at possibilities. I was in a different frame of mind. We were in a different space. So I said, well, let's talk about it. We made it happen.
Absolutely.
And so it was while I was there, man, that I felt like this could save me 10 years on a 20-year plan. But I was there, and I was hearing about all the devastation in D.C. specifically, but in many of our cities where we were killing each other. And I was feeling rather, I felt like, I wasn't doing enough to make a difference there. And that was the beginning of me coming back to the East Coast, frankly. But I came to appreciate, this was my message, though, my point. Uh-huh. I was able to appreciate all that others were doing. And I discovered that some people are doing, and even today, they are doing some spectacular things, not just good things, spectacular things well beyond my scope and purview. So it helped me to calm down. even with what's going on today, because all I need to do, you ready, is my part.
Yeah.
God, what is it that you want me to do? That's what I need to be about.
And that's it. And it's funny because there was a time one night early on in the morning, because pray for me, God, everybody, because these boys is really textbook. Put your finger on and stuff. And one night it was just like moving, just like everything I knew it was. And I said, now, Lord, these boys is textbook in their actions and activities, but I don't have the resources to go up against. And God said, but you got me. So here I am, following the yellow brick road and
There you go.
doing what I'm supposed to do, because along this road journey and a shift, it's going to lead me to whatever else it is. And how important it is for us to trust and then obey.
This is
how important have you seen that to be?
Man, I'll tell you what. Well, the joke is, if when you trust and obey, what is the payoff? I used to think, and I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty of.
Boo.
You ready for this?
Guilty.
Right? Yeah, guilty of this. Right? Well, I trust and obey. Why can't I lead myself? Create a schedule. Why I got to create a schedule and be locked into something? Well, it's an
that part.
Yeah, but both of it, man. Trust and obey. Look at what we're talking about. Trust and obey your best self. Trust and obey he who gives. Look, to me, when I think about, I think about Jesus on the cross, man. I'll go way back to that. It's something.
Go way back to that. That's fine. This Ash Wednesday, we got Jesus on our mind.
Yeah, here we go. But how do you look at a spot and you got somebody who said, wait a minute, you have all this capability, you got all this power, and you're going to let us do this to you? Oh, you love me that much? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that pain, you're going to go through that kind of pain and still love me? You're going to say, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do in the midst of pain? Man, trust and obey is about what I want to do, because that's where my best life is. It's right there. Yeah. I look at that example. Yeah. So there's that. Same thing about me talking about planning. I was so resistant to making a schedule, because I said, that locks me in. I'm a flow guy. I need to go with the flow. I don't want to lock myself. And then I began to appreciate. And I got to say, some of these books and tapes and seminars, they helped me out. I was Stephen Covey. I know you remember him, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
I had him in the car one day. I had to pick him up for the airport for Barbara King, and we talked from the airport to the church. Yeah, I remember Stephen. Yes.
I love you, man. We got to talk more about your journey, man. Half the people that I'm talking about in those degrees of separation, now I got to go all the way to 1. I know you, and you got a lot of these guys.
Yeah. Well, it was like when I came to Atlanta and I met Barbara. She always has some cool people come through there to speak at the church, and I got to pick them up and talk to them in the car. And like that's where Yana and I became good friends, because I was driving her around. And she was not the person she is today, because she was out there hitting it every day to become who she is today. So, Beckwith was tied up in that stuff too. That was in
Michael Beckwith. Yes, sir. Look at him today.
Me, him, and him. He was like, not saying. I walked out to his church one time and talked to his brother. His brother said, you ain't no Reverend Doctor, you Bobby Yarborough, boy. I heard about you at the dinner plate. But talking about the degrees and stuff, and as we wind down for this journey today, but the relationships develop, priceless.
You said that, man. And I'll tell you what, just as you bump up, I feel like you may have heard that quote, giving is like perfume. You can't put some on somebody without getting some on yourself.
Yeah.
It's been in there. We bump up and brush up against people. And if we're coming from a good space, And you know what we've done is not only have we been blessed to be in their company, but we've made a difference for them. We might not never know it, but
And
that's what we do.
a lot of times we don't know because people come up to me and say, Reverend Bobby, you said something 87 years ago to change my life. Anyway, Clifford, listen, we wrapping up this part of the journey. You gonna come back and roll again with me, man?
Oh, sure, man. I think this is halfway. I thought this was the halfway mark. Look what you
Oh
doing.
no, we done. We at 30. We keeping it tight. So you know we
Nice.
keep the
Okay.
people keep
All right.
it moving.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, everyone, this is my friend Clifton Mcknight from Morehouse. We brothers. We gonna do this again. Talk some more. I'm Reverend Bobby, and from Cliff and myself, we just pray, hope, all of those things that you journey well from here on out. Peace.
Bless you, everybody. God bless. Cliff Mcknight saying, if you can't calm the waters, learn to ride the waves.
And that's the truth.